the under-23s, the development team have played 4 games, and George Alexander has scored 4 goals. The first game of the season, I've got it written down here, but I don't think I need to go to it because I know first game of the season I was there. It was at the Den. They drew 1-0 against Burnley. George Alexander, great poacher's finish. Second game of the season, I watched the whole stream live. They played away to Leeds. They lost 3-2. George Alexander was phenomenal. He didn't give the ball away once. Did not give the ball away once. He'd made, every time he got the ball, he made a right decision, and he was up against it as well. Didn't get a lot of the ball, getting the ball with his back to goal, and doing a lot of dog shit work that strikers don't like to do, and he did it well. He scored a goal, actually missed the penalty. Keeper pushes it onto the post, and he scores the rebound. That's fine. Billy Mitchell, also legend, got on the score sheet that day, and we lost 3-2. The third game of the season was behind closed doors at Calmont Road, which I didn't see because it's behind closed doors. You're not allowed in there, especially ain't going to let me in there, that's for sure. But we won 2-0 against Nottingham Forest, and George Alexander scores again along with his strike partner, Harvey Bradbury. I couldn't get to the Den on Friday when the under-23s played their 4th game of the season, and they beat Sheffield United development team by 2-0. No, that's a lie. It was 1-0. George Alexander, again, with the winner. Right, George Alexander. What do we know about George Alexander? Well, the first thing we know about George Alexander is we know a little bit more than the average Millwall development/youth team player because, as we all know, George Alexander's dad, Gary, friend of the show, a Millwall player himself, scored the greatest ever goal at Wembley in the playoff final for Millwall against Scunthorpe. Unfortunately, scored 2 that day and missed a sitter for an hat-trick. But as he's a friend of the show, we won't mention the one he missed. Because of that situation, there's a little bit more pressure on George Alexander's shoulders, which he's going to have to deal with. He's a young man. He's a professional footballer. This is the trials and the tribulations of becoming a professional footballer. You have to deal with this shit, unfortunately. You have to talk about people like me, dickheads like me who know nothing, talking about your career, talking about games you play. But George Alexander is a hot prospect in Millwall. He's in the public eye more so at Millwall than he would be elsewhere, as I said, because of his dad and because of who his dad was. George Alexander has played for the first team. He is the first and so far only player ever born in the noughties to play for Millwall first team. He made his debut, obviously, at the last game of last season with Billy Mitchell when we lost 1-0 at Wigan Athletic. George is a great goal scorer, but he is very slight in his appearance, and I think I've said stick him out on loan before, but I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to do anything with George Alexander. I think Neil Harris is handling George Alexander fantastically. If you look at the teams we played, right, Burnley, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United, 2 Premier League clubs, two should be Premier League clubs. Let's have it right. Forest, European champions back in for the old timers of my age in the 80s. And Leeds, obviously, let's have it right. They're going to do very well this year. I think he's in exactly the right place, George Alexander. I think he's got his dad there, knows the Millwall way, who will be mates, obviously, with Neil Harris. And I think we are handling George Alexander in exactly the right way. The shame thing is for us that we went out the Carabao 2 Bob Cup. That's the only thing I would like to see Billy play more. And I probably would have given George a run in that at some point. Obviously, as we all know as well, I haven't covered this because I can't be bothered, but we would have got West Ham in the next round. People saying it's a fix. People saying hot balls getting put in the microwave. Who knows? But we're out of it. Let's not worry about it. But George Alexander, as I said, it would have been nice to see him playing the Carabao Cup maybe, but we're out of it. So for now, survival is our priority. Survival absolutely has to be our priority. And we've got 4 strikers at the club. We've got 4 strikers at the club, by the way, but for the first time in a couple of seasons, 1 season, 2, maybe 2, are actually scoring goals. So George Alexander isn't going to get his chance in and around that first team unless for injury, unless someone gets injured. It's not going to happen. And yes, George is doing well, and yes, we all love him. But look, he's playing in the under-23s every week. He's scoring goals at the minute every week. 4 goals in 4 games. So let's give him a little bit of a breather. Let's give the gaffer a little bit of a breather. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. He's doing well. He's in the right place, and he's scoring goals. Sticking him out on loan, as I said we should, I think it could be a wrong move for him now. He's playing a good standard there. And I'd like to see him continue in the under-23s.